Am I the a-hole for giving my girlfriend an ultimatum about her male best friend? I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, Sarah, 26 female, for just over a year now, and while I love her, there's one thing that's been eating at me since the very beginning. Her relationship with her male best friend, Jake, 27 male. Jake has been Sarah's ride or die since college, and I knew from the start that they were close. But what I didn't realize was how much it would impact our relationship. I've always tried to be the chill, trusting boyfriend. I don't want to be the guy who's threatened by a platonic friendship. But honestly, it's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm the third wheel in my own relationship. Jake and Sarah are practically inseparable. They hang out multiple times a week: dinners, movie nights, spontaneous late-night drives, and I'm usually not even invited. If I try to join, it's awkward, like I'm crashing their private joke-filled world that I'm not a part of. It stings, but I tried to let it go for the sake of keeping the peace. But then things started to cross a line. Jake texts her constantly, even when we're together on dates. It's not just casual stuff either. He calls her babe and sweetheart. And when I brought this up to Sarah, she laughed and said it was just their thing, and that it didn't mean anything. Apparently, they've been calling each other that for years. But to me, it feels like there's more to it. Who calls their best friend babe when they're in a relationship? Then there was the night I stayed over at her place and woke up at 2 a.m. to find Sarah on FaceTime with Jake. She was giggling like a schoolgirl, whispering so she wouldn't wake me. When I asked her about it the next morning, she brushed it off, saying Jake needed someone to talk to. But what about me? Am I just here as background noise while she stays emotionally tethered to this guy? The final straw came last weekend. Sarah and I had been planning a special weekend getaway for our 1-year anniversary, something we'd been looking forward to for months. But, out of nowhere, Jake invites her to a concert the same weekend. Sarah asked me if we could postpone our anniversary trip so she could go with Jake instead, because it's a band they both absolutely love. I was floored. Our anniversary, something we'd been planning for months, could just be rescheduled for Jake? It was like I didn't even matter. I told her that this was too much and asked her to set some clear boundaries with Jake. Like no more pet names, no more hanging out one-on-one all the time, and definitely no more prioritizing him over our relationship. She blew up at me, calling me controlling and insecure. She even said, "You knew Jake was part of my life when we started dating. Why are you trying to change me now?" Things got worse when Jake apparently told her that I was being toxic and trying to manipulate her. Sarah is siding with him, saying I'm overreacting and that nothing has ever happened between them. She's now furious with me for giving her an ultimatum, when all I really asked for were some boundaries that would make me feel like I'm her boyfriend, not just a side character in her life with Jake. Now, Sarah's giving me the silent treatment, and I'm starting to feel like I've somehow become the villain in my own relationship. Am I losing my mind here? I'm not asking her to drop Jake completely, just to prioritize us and respect our relationship. But maybe I've been unreasonable. So, am I the a-hole for asking my girlfriend to set boundaries with her male best friend? Or is this friendship way too close for comfort? Hey Reddit, I'm back with an update. And let me just say, it didn't turn out how I expected at all. I first want to thank you all for the amazing support you all have given me. After reading over the comments and talking to some of you guys, I had made up my mind. I was done being second place in my own relationship, and I was ready to walk away. But what happened next surprised me. Saturday night, Sarah came over to talk. I was prepared to have the breakup conversation, but before I could get a word in, she told me something unexpected. She had canceled the concert plans with Jake. She said that after our last conversation, she realized how serious I was, and it made her think about everything. She told me she had been selfish, that she had been taking our relationship for granted. She said she'd told Jake she couldn't go to the concert, and instead, she wanted to spend the weekend with me. No distractions, no third wheels, just us. I was honestly shocked. Part of me didn't believe it. For months, I had been asking her to set boundaries with Jake, and suddenly, she was doing it? It felt surreal, like a last-minute effort to save something that was already broken. But she seemed sincere. She apologized, not just for the concert situation, but for all the times she had ignored my feelings, dismissed my concerns, and prioritized Jake over us. She admitted she had been blind to how much it hurt me and said she didn't want to lose me. It was emotional. She was crying, and I could see how much it scared her that I was about to walk away. For the first time in a long time, it felt like she was choosing me. But here's the thing. As much as I appreciated her apology, it didn't magically fix everything. I told her that while canceling the concert was a good step, it didn't erase all the hurt. I still felt like I had been competing with Jake for too long, and trust once broken is hard to rebuild. We ended up spending the weekend together as planned. We didn't go on the big anniversary trip, but we stayed in, cooked together, and had long conversations about everything: our relationship, Jake, the future. It was a roller coaster of emotions. There were moments where I felt like maybe we could make this work, but also moments where the damage felt too deep to repair. By today, I was emotionally drained. Sarah seemed to think things were heading in the right direction, but I still wasn't sure. I needed space to think. So, I told her we should take a break, give each other some time to reflect and see if this relationship was something we both wanted to fight for. She didn't take it well. She cried again, begged me not to go, said she'd prove to me that she was serious about changing. But I needed to be alone, to clear my head without the constant push and pull of emotions. So I left. I haven't spoken to her since. We agreed to give it a couple of weeks before we decide anything, but to be honest, I'm still leaning toward ending things for good. Could she really have set boundaries with Jake after everything? I find this hard to believe after months of me begging. I feel like I've already checked out of the relationship, and while her efforts are appreciated, I can't shake the feeling that it's too little, too late. I'll always care about Sarah, but this whole situation has made me realize how important it is to be with someone who values and respects you from the beginning. Someone who doesn't make you feel like you have to compete for their attention. You all think she might have cheated on me with Jake, so Reddit, I ask, should I give her another chance or should I go through with the breakup? Hey Reddit. It's been about 8 months since my last update. Honestly, I didn't plan on ever coming back to this. After everything happened, I kind of just wanted to forget about it. Plus, Sarah eventually found the post, so I stayed quiet. But at this point, I don't care who I piss off. I think I owe you guys the end of the story, plus a lot of you guys have been asking for an update, so here it is. So, after my last post, we decided to go on a break. We had no contact for 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks messed with my head more than I expected. I didn't know what she was doing, who she was talking to, or where things stood. Eventually, I reached out and told her I wanted to break up. I thought I was ready. She broke down, cried, begged, told me she'd cut Jake off for good, said she'd block him, delete him, whatever it took. She told me she couldn't imagine her life without me and just wanted one more chance. And like an idiot, I gave it to her, because I still loved her. This was the second person in my life I could say I truly loved. I didn't want to start over with someone new when I'd known her for so long. She wasn't just my partner. She was my best friend. I didn't want to lose what we had. First, things were okay. She was more present, we spent more time together, and she tried harder. But I wasn't the same. I had this weird feeling in my gut that I couldn't trust her, even if I pretended to. I just couldn't forget everything that happened. And I won't sit here and act like I was perfect either. When she was trying her hardest, I wasn't putting in the same effort. That hurt her. This went on for about 3 months. It started getting better little by little. I thought we were making progress. I still wasn't all the way in, but I could finally say I saw a future with her. But the thing that really bothered? Jake. She did stay true to her word and unfollowed him when we first got back together. This was almost 4 months ago. But one day while I was at work, I was scrolling on IG and saw that they had followed each other again. I asked her about it and she said it didn't mean anything, that they weren't talking. I let it go. Maybe I didn't want to know the truth. Fast forward a few weeks. We were at my place and she had fallen asleep first. That's when I saw an Instagram notification. I couldn't open it, didn't know her password, and I wasn't about to try and scan her face while she slept. So I ignored it. Couldn't sleep. I was restless. But I told myself I was overthinking, and I wanted to trust her. Fast forward another week. We went on vacation and were staying at a hotel. She asked me to grab something from the car, but the hotel room key was on her phone. So, she handed it to me. That's when my insecurities got the best of me, and I snooped while walking to the car. That's when I saw it. And honestly, I felt nauseous. DMs from Jake. Not just old ones. Recent. Some unanswered, but some she did reply to. Messages about how she couldn't stand being apart from him. How it killed her to block him. How she missed talking to him. How she wanted to see him again. And then the part that really broke me, how she had developed feelings for him but was scared to leave me because then it wouldn't be Jake and OP. It would just be Jake. She talked about how she didn't want to lose both of us. She had even seen him behind my back. When she said she was going to the gym, she was going to his place. I came back to the room and didn't say anything. I laid in bed, numb. She eventually got up to take a shower, and while she was in there, she texted me asking if I went through her phone. At first, I lied. But then she said when she opened Instagram, it was still on her DMs with Jake, something she didn't leave open. So I admitted it. I told her I read everything and couldn't believe she lied to me again. Her response? You weren't supposed to see that. I completely lost it. She tried playing the victim card, telling me I broke her trust by going through her phone and that I wasn't supposed to read what she told Jake. Like I was the bad guy in this situation. That was it for me. I didn't ask for explanations. I didn't want to hear any more lies. I shut down completely. I stopped texting her and only spoke when necessary for the rest of the trip. We had driven 6 hours from our hometown to visit some friends, so I couldn't just leave. We acted normal in front of our friends until it was time to go. The 6-hour drive home? Complete silence. I drove most of the way and didn't say a word. When I dropped her off at her place, she tried to talk to me, even tried to kiss me goodbye. I pushed her away and asked her to get out of the car. Later that night, I texted her that I was done. I didn't want to talk anymore. She tried to explain, but at that point, there was nothing left to say. I gave her so many chances and she still chose to lie. Again, I don't know if anything sexual happened between them, and at this point I don't care anymore. What I do know is I spent too long being second in a relationship where I should have been enough. So yeah, I'm single now. It hurts, obviously, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can finally breathe again. Thanks to everyone who gave it to me straight in the comments all those months ago, but also to those who told me to give her another chance. It hurt, but I grew and matured from this. Am I the a-hole for buying a $50,000 guitar for $4,000 and refusing to sell it back when the buyer found out the real value? This happened a while back. My wife and I still talk about it every once in a while. She's on my side and most of our friends and family are. However, when it happened, it was like WW3 between us and her coworkers and others. Here we go. I've been playing the guitar for 22 years. I know guitar values and whatnot very well. I'm very into the guitar market. At my wife's old company, she was hanging out with coworkers one day after work and she mentioned that I play guitar. A coworker who I guess is very popular at work said that his dad passed away and he was selling his dad's things. His dad had a guitar and asked my wife if I'd be interested in it. My wife texted me and I said to have him send me the info on the guitar and the price. The next day he texted me the pics and price. It was a 1952 Telecaster in mint condition. He had the original receipts, which was crazy. That's how I knew the date. I asked what he wanted for it and he said he looked up Telecasters online and he thinks $4,000 is fair. I texted back, I'll take it for $4,000, and went to pick it up. The guitar had no sentimental value to him at all. Here's the issue at hand. The guitar is worth approximately $50,000 depending on the buyer, and I knew it. When I got the guitar, I told my wife the price and what it was worth. She was floored. Fast forward 2 weeks, her coworker tells my wife he just found out what the guitar was actually worth from a family friend and wanted it back. She said, well, he really likes the guitar and he knew it was worth $50,000, which is why he was floored you offered it to him for $4,000. He really likes it and I doubt he will sell it back. But you can ask. Probably not the smartest thing for her to say. But she was caught off guard and it's not her fault or problem. He contacted me and asked to buy it back. I said that it's not for sale. He then said I scammed him and he was going to sue me and take my wife to HR for being a part of the scam. Which was nuts, but he actually did contact HR. They were cool about it and said it's not their problem. It's between him and me. Over the next few months, he made things very uncomfortable for my wife at work. He would bug her constantly about it. She eventually had to go to HR for harassment and they actually let him go. She complained twice and he was warned and didn't stop. He's contacted me several times about it, so I got a restraining order for harassment too. I blocked him too. I haven't heard from him in about a year. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he's too broke to be so sexist? So my husband comes from a traditional family. Mum's a psalm, father was sole provider. I come from the opposite. My mother pretty much forbade from ever being financially dependent on a man and drilled that into me early on. My husband worked hard to unlearn the values he saw replicated at home. He often more than pulled his weight at home, was an engaged and present father and a genuine partner. The one thing that grinds my gears is how much weight he puts on the opinions of his family. I get that we all want our parents to be proud of us, but this is too much. My in-laws are staying with us for 2 weeks. Our usual MO is I prep breakfast, we all eat lunch at work school, and my husband makes dinner. We have a cleaner, but she's on holiday, so in the meantime we're doing the cleaning where it's down to everyone to keep their space clean and common spaces we all clean. This is how we've always done it and it works. My in-laws hate that I'm one of those modern women. They hate that I work, they hate that I don't find my purpose in being a wife and mother, and they hate that my husband pulls his weight at home. We spoke pretty frankly early on, where I established my boundaries and told them I won't be chastised about how I live my life in my home. When I am a guest in their home, I accommodate their ways and play the daughter-in-law they wish I was. They have for the most part respected this. I got home yesterday after work tired and starving. I typically get home 15:30 and we eat at 1900. I said quick hellos and ran up for a pre-dinner shower. When I came down, I went to the kitchen to help set up for dinner and found nothing ready. I asked my husband about it, but he wouldn't look at me, and his mother answered that he hadn't cooked anything. She told me I needed to do my duty as a wife and cook for my family. My coward of a husband still wasn't looking at me. I just walked away and ordered takeaway. I dished up for me and my kids and we sat at the table to eat. My husband and his parents served themselves and joined us. My mother-in-law was still going on about what was wrong with me and why I was a failure. I asked my husband if he had anything to say. He said his mother had a point and it wouldn't hurt if I acted more like a proper woman and took better care of my home and children. He said tradition was tradition for a reason, and it was kind of insulting that I thought I was too good for how he was raised. This is where I might be the asshole. I told him tradition won't allow a man on $35K to support a family of 5 and he was too broke to be so sexist. He looked hurt and I saw tears welling in his eyes. He excused himself from the table. I regret saying this in front of our children, but him saying that to me after I'm busting my ass to clean up his mess on top of having to deal with his parents was too much for me. Am I the a-hole?
Am I the a-hole for asking all the guests to leave after my brother and sister-in-law pregnancy announcement? I, 28 male, and my wife Anna, 28 female, were expecting. She was almost 3 months. We were really excited. We bought everything a baby needed and talked a lot about our future with the baby. August 23, 2022. My wife woke me up in tears. She tossed her blanket off from her legs to show me a big patch of blood near her crotch, staining the sheets. We had a really hard time accepting the fact, but Anna was much more affected. She would cry in our bed for at least 4 hours every day. She wouldn't eat, and she would say awful things about herself and her useless body. I had tried to console her to the best of my abilities, but I was grief-stricken myself and couldn't say the right words to her. It took 4 months of therapy for us to gradually start feeling better. Anna was smiling more. She was still a little on edge, but she was doing good. January 14th was Anna's birthday, and I wanted to make it really special for her. I invited our friends and family and cooked her favorite foods. I just wanted this day to be happy for her. For context, our families know about the situation and the effect it had on Anna, especially my brother and Sil, as we had stayed in their house for a bit. While everyone was eating the food, my brother and sister-in-law got up and told everyone that sister-in-law was pregnant. After 4 seconds of silence, everyone in the room started congratulating them. I was stunned and turned to my wife, having an emotionless expression, until she smiled slowly and congratulated them, and hugged them both. For a good 20 minutes, everyone couldn't stop talking about pregnancy, baby names, and new baby toys. They could have easily announced this at their 5-year anniversary party, which was just 2 weeks away. What was the point of announcing it on my wife's birthday? I noticed my wife get up and leave to go to our bedroom. I found her crying. She told me she doesn't want to go out now, that she doesn't want to face them. I understood and quickly headed to the table where everyone was done eating, talking as if they hadn't noticed we'd left. I didn't want to make a big scene, so I told everyone kindly that me and Anna had some plans for the evening and that we would have to cut this party short. That was the only thing that came to mind at that moment. Sister-in-law comes walking towards me and starts yelling at me, saying that I'm doing this because of her announcement. I tried telling her as calmly as possible that it wasn't like that, and this was supposed to be Anna's birthday party, not some pregnancy announcement party. I said my goodbyes. Then 2 hours later, I get a message from my brother saying I was selfish and that I shouldn't be jealous just because we won't be as careless as the two of you. Careless, as in implying that we had somehow caused the miscarriage even though we were incredibly careful. I'm beyond frustrated. Do you think am I the a-hole because of how I handled the situation?
Am I the a-hole for not going home after giving birth because my husband missed it to help our friends? I, 32 female, just had our second baby a few days ago, and instead of going home I asked to be discharged to my sisters. I don't know if that makes me an a-hole or overly emotional or whatever, which is why I'm here. Some background. My husband, 33, and I were teen parents. We had our daughter at 18 and 19, she's 14 now. It's been a long road and we waited a long time to feel ready to go through it all again. This baby was very much planned and wanted. But ever since I hit the 3rd trimester I felt kind of alone in it. My husband started spending a lot of time with this couple we know. They're in a similar boat, they had their first as teens too and just had their second recently. I get that it's a lot for them. Their oldest is 17 and they weren't planning on another, so he's been helping them out. But it went from a nice gesture to almost daily visits. Grocery runs, watching their newborn while they nap, fixing stuff around their house, bringing food over, and sometimes with our daughter tagging along, sometimes without even letting me know he was going. Meanwhile, I was trying to keep up with everything at home, going to appointments alone, dealing with the mess that is late pregnancy. I brought it up to him more than once, and every time he'd either say I was exaggerating or that he was there, just not in the way I wanted him to be. He kept saying I was being territorial or weirdly competitive about them needing help, which made me question myself even more. I also started noticing changes in our daughter. She's an ice dancer and has an intense schedule, and after going with her dad to help at their house, she'd come back totally spaced out. Quiet. Eating less. I figured she was just tired, but it started to feel off. She almost fell during practice one morning because she was so drained, and her coach made her sit out the rest of the week. That was a big wake-up call for me. I told my husband that enough was enough and we needed to pull back, not just for me but for her too. He apologized, said he'd keep the visits shorter, only go when it was really needed. The visits were hardly shorter, but my daughter seemed less tired, and I could actually go to sleep with my husband some nights, so I counted it as a win. When I went into labor, I called him from the car while my sister drove me to the hospital. No answer. Texted. Nothing. He showed up about 4 hours after the baby was born with a slushie for me, said he was sorry, but the other couple had a rough night and he didn't want to just leave them stranded. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want a big scene right there in the hospital, but when I could be discharged, I just had my sister take home since my husband wasn't there. Now he's saying I'm being dramatic, that I'm punishing him for helping people who don't have the support we do. He told me I'm being cold and that I'm setting a bad example for our daughter by shutting him out. He's also implied more than once that I'm trying to act like a victim when he was doing what any decent person would do. His mom called yesterday and said I should be ashamed for taking the baby away. I never said anything about keeping our son from him. I've told him he can come see the baby whenever he wants. I've been texting our daughter, keeping up with her, and I plan to be back home the moment I've recovered enough. I'm not trying to split our family. I just needed a break. A quiet space to breathe and actually rest. I'm exhausted mentally and physically. But now I'm second-guessing myself. Was it wrong to go somewhere else to recover? Should I have just gone home and tried to work it out there? I don't want this to turn into some drawn-out fight or drama, especially not with a newborn in the picture. I don't even know if I'm thinking clearly at this point.
Am I the a-hole for flirting with 19-year-old girls and defending myself when being called a predator? I 31 male and recently ended a long-term relationship. I was broken. I recently went to this cool restaurant bar downtown with one of my buddies to have a good time. Anyone of any age can come in. While we were there was a girl who was celebrating her 19th birthday. They sang happy birthday and they were allowed an outside cake with 19 on it. The birthday girl was pretty, so I wanted to go chat her up. Her friends were super cute too. My buddy told me to leave them alone and that they looked like babies. He didn't want to go over at first, but since the breakup, every other woman but my ex has been invisible. So he went to Wingman with me. We walked over and wished her a happy birthday. I thought things were going well and the women were laughing. Then all of a sudden one of the girls snaps at me to take a fucking hint. R. Kelly. I was taken aback and just said, "Excuse me." She said to read the room and that they were uncomfortable. Another asked to us to go away. I was gonna go, but I was really bothered by the R. Kelly comment. I said it's fucked up to call me a predator when we are all adults here. My buddy wanted to leave, but I stood my ground. The birthday woman said that it didn't matter. It's weird for someone my age to hit on them, especially when they make it obvious that they are uncomfortable. Then made another R. Kelly comment by asking if she looked like Aaliyah to me, which upset me again. I apologized for making them uncomfortable, but that didn't give them the right to call me a predator. One of the women said JT was a personal problem. I said that adults are allowed to hit on the adults. It's not a crime. One woman just asked why I was still standing there and yelled at me to go away. I was pissed off, and when I left, their entire table was singing Remix to Ignition and laughing their asses off. I was furious and humiliated. When we sat back down, I was seething. My buddy said that it was my fault for not seeing the signs that they were uncomfortable. To him, it was obvious, so he wanted to go. He called me delusional. I pointed out that they were laughing, and he said it was just uncomfortable laughter. I told him that I had every right to be mad about being called a predator when they were all 18 to 19. It's a horrible accusation to make. My ex was 6 years older than me. He said that they weren't calling me a predator, just weird for going for teens. He said it was wrong of them to sing after me and that was bullying. But I should have left long before that. I felt like he should have stuck up for me. Was I wrong for sticking up for me or for hitting on them in the first place? I was respectful and not creepy at all too.